Hey everybody, what's going on? I've got a lot of Fallout information for you guys, tons of it dropped. As you may or may not know, not only is the game coming out pretty soon, so they're going to start giving us more information, obviously just to hold us over until its October 19th release, but also there's been a lot of conventions. There's been a lot of, QuakeCon, Comic-Con, and there's much more coming out, and there's conventions in September, but I don't want to get into that though. What I want to get into is the actual information that has been released. And the first cool thing that I've heard was there's a lot of people complaining when they see New Vegas, they get worried. Because we have to remember, a lot of people, their first Fallout experience was Fallout 3. Personally, mine was Fallout 3. So when I think Fallout, I think wasteland. I think, tarnished buildings and just waste. Nothing is left intact. It's all wreckage. And in New Vegas, when we saw what Vegas looked like, all we saw was, the lights and the buildings. And a lot of people started throwing fits. A lot of people started saying, this isn't Fallout. This is, some new corny, cheesy thing that I don't know if I want this. But I reassure you, they've said in many of the previews, and the developers themselves have said several times that they've actually recently just said that Vegas looks the way it looks. Vegas, the town, specifically looks the way it looks to tie into the story. The person running Vegas, Mr. House, actually has it looking that way for a specific reason that ties in with the story. So that just intrigues me even more. And as far as like the wasteland, a lot of people are wondering, am I going to get my money's worth? Because I like to go out in the wasteland. I like to be in war-torn places and in places that look like they just got hit by a nuke. You're going to get plenty of that, they said. They said that you're going to just, there's tons of it. They just said that outside of Vegas, everything looks wrecked, is basically what they said. And I'm happy about that. I mean, I'm not concerned personally, because I know that Obsidian knows how to make a game. They know how to make a good game at that too. You can make a game, but it's hard to make an actual good game that's worth the money that I'm going to put down for it. And I know they can, so I don't have a problem with it. But for all the people that are a little doubtful right now, there is plenty of wasteland out there to go around. You're gonna be able to get your fair share of your wasteland. They just have these certain places like this to tie in for the story. So I think it's a smart thing. I think it adds a little mystery to the game, and it makes me a little more excited for the game. So don't worry about it, turning into some other type of game. It's still Fallout. It's still a wasteland. It's still post-apocalyptia. Furthermore, on the information that I found out, a lot of people have also been asking me, is Nuka-Cola going to come back? Is, Sunset Sarsaparilla? We know about that soda already. But is Nuka-Cola coming back? I liked Nuka-Cola. It was a cool idea. I did too. I thought Nuka-Cola was an awesome idea in the game. And Quantum just added that extra little funniness to it. I really liked it. And I'm happy to say that there's going to be 2 sodas in the game. There's not only is there going to be Nuka-Cola, but there's also going to be Sunset Sarsaparilla. And people from who have played the older Fallouts, Fallout 1 and 2, the OG players, they'll remember that soda. They know what that's all about. And those are going to be the 2 common soft drinks, and it's actually funny, they're tying in with hardcore mode a little bit. Obviously, we all know soda has sugar and caffeine in it. So, this is really cool right here. Check this out. In hardcore mode, they're going to negatively affect the sodas. If you drink soda, they're going to negatively affect your dehydration. So, obviously, we all know in hardcore mode, you get dehydrated if you don't drink enough water. And eventually, you can die from dehydration. Soda actually dehydrates you. It actually speeds up your dehydration, takes away from your water. But conversely, it helps you stay up later. So it's a drawback. You pick your poison. Do you want to stay up later? Do you want to be able to travel that extra mile or so, or do you want to go to sleep and keep your hydration and stop where you are? So it's a good idea, and that's what I'm getting from this game as a whole. To expand on that even more, there's not only going to be skill books anymore, because there were skill books in Fallout 3, everybody remembers those, but there's also going to be skill magazines. And skill magazines, the difference between those is that they are temporary. They're not for the whole time. Skill book, you find a skill book and it raises your stat, 5 points, 10 points. It raises your 1 point, or whatever it would raise it by. These magazines, they raise it temporarily. So maybe you're going into a mission or you're going into a quest and you're like, okay, I need such and such perk. I need my speech to be a little higher. Okay, you can read a skill magazine, which by the way are more common. Skill magazines, obviously, because they're not as effective, because they wear off after a while. They're more common. They're much more common than skill books are going to be. but are they more rewarding? That's the whole thing. And that's the theme with Vegas. I'm getting the theme with Vegas. It's like you gamble a little bit. You drink soda, you're gambling to get dehydrated, but you can also get the gamble of staying up later. You read a skill book as opposed to a skill magazine. It lasts longer, but you're not going to find it as often. It's just there's trade-offs to everything, and it goes even deeper as to what gun you use, as to what traits you pick. Everything from what we're reading, it's just everything has a choice and a reaction in a game. Everything you do has a consequence, down to how much strength you pick. In the game before, you could have a 1 strength, but you could still wield a rocket launcher effectively. But now in this game, if you don't have a high strength, you're not going to wield that gun effectively. You have to make the trade-off somewhere, and I love that, because Fallout 3 didn't have enough of that whole trade-off experience. When you made a bad decision, you didn't really necessarily have to pay for it every single time. And in New Vegas, it sounds like every decision that you make, it's really going to change how things happen for you. And it even goes in further with the factions. Like I said before in my previous videos, there's not just karma to worry about. You're not just a good guy, a normal guy, or a bad guy. You're not just neutral. You're not just good. You're not just bad. What you are now is you have opinions. Factions, different factions, and there are much more factions. There are a lot more factions in this game, in New Vegas, than there were in Fallout 3. Fallout 3 seems like a ghost town compared to New Vegas as far as how many factions and the intricacy that's going on in this game. And so it's going to play a much larger role. You can be a good guy, but half of the wasteland out there could still hate your guts and want you dead. And it's more than just one group, so you're not just going to have a small group of mercs coming after you. You're not just going to have the Talon Company mercs coming after you anymore. You're going to have a bunch of other factions coming after you. So that's really cool. I like that. I think that's a good idea. It just makes the game more rewarding, honestly. If I piss you off, I expect you to try to retaliate. I mean, we are trying to survive here, right? So that's really cool. And the fact they added the hardcore mode on makes me even happier. I can't speak enough about how happy I am about that. That's just really cool. Okay, another thing is we know traits are coming back, but we really haven't heard too much about traits. And the best way that I can describe traits, honestly, would be comparing them to say skulls in Halo, but they don't necessarily make the game harder or easier. Sometimes they just make the game a little funnier. And for example, they've actually talked about one trait in specific. It's called Weird Wasteland. And so basically what this does is you have the option to turn on or off a lot of the jokes, a lot of the little jokey moments in Fallout. And we all know that's what helps make the whole Fallout universe kind of tie itself together. Is the 1950s and the jokes, the funny little tidbits, the random occurrences that you find out there in the wasteland. I can't get enough of those, honestly. And really, it basically says, it's up to you. But, for example, okay, you can go and you can come across a refrigerator with a bullwhip and a hat. I mean, it's just a funny little random occurrence. You can either have the option to have those on, or if you're a more serious gamer, you can have those off. You don't have to turn those on. They've also said a lot of the jokes pertaining to this trait, they tie in to pop culture references, and they also tie into references from the original games. So, I mean, also, you got to take that into consideration. Have you played the first two? Will you even understand the jokes? So is it worth it to turn it on or off? And there's an even deeper explanation for it as to, okay, I played once without the jokes on, now I'm going to go back and play again with the jokes on. It adds more replayability to the game. I love it. I hope they never stop doing this. Just everything I'm hearing about the game, it's solid, solid, solid. Unfortunately, it's not all is good in Happy Land. Unfortunately, there have been some reports of the game having some of the problems that Fallout 3 had. The frame rate, they said there was a couple frame rate issues where it got a little dodgy in some instances when it got real busy. And they've also said that there's been just hiccups here and there. I'm hoping that they can iron these out before the game ships, but honestly, if it's like Fallout 3 as far as the glitchiness, then I'm okay with it, because from what we're reading, this world, okay, people ask about how big is the world, how big is the world. I don't care how big the world is, how dense is the world? That's my question. Not only have they said the world is the size is just as big as Fallout 3's, but from what I've heard, the density of the world is much more dense than Fallout 3 ever hoped to be. There was a lot of wreckage and a lot of just, just whatever, just filler space in Fallout 3. It was a lot. It was a lot because it was a lot to ask of the engine. They didn't know what they were doing yet, and I think Obsidian has a better grasp on things. And from what I've heard, not only are there much more factions and there's much more of a story going on here, it builds more and more, there's more consequences, but they said there's more areas, there's more settlements to go to, there's more just conflicts in general, just there's more going on. It's a busier world. And so when I think about that, I'm just like, alright, I can deal with that. I don't need a larger world. If the world is the same size and there's more going on in the world, then I'll take that option over a world that's like twice the size. I don't care as long as it's a dense game and it's a good game. So not only, I mean, we're getting a good deal here. Think about that. We're getting a game just as big as Fallout 3, but there's a lot more going on, and there's a lot more to see in the game. As far as what they're saying, as far as what it sounds like. There's been several previews that have come out in recent days, recent weeks. Eurogamer has a new preview for it. IGN has a new preview for it. G4 has a new preview for it. Kotaku has a new preview for it. And these aren't just simple little mini previews. I'm sorry, they're all previews. I'm very sorry about that. They're actually good gameplay segments. 30 minutes, an hour and 30 minutes. An hour and 30 minutes is the longest time I've heard. And these are like, solid gameplay times. So they're not just, the run-of-the-mill kind of, oh, I had 10 minutes to play Fallout, so I'm going to give a preview now. It's actual real sit-down. They sat down with the creators of the game, and they actually had time to actually play through a little bit of the game, play through the story, see how it develops. They also touched on the followers. They said the followers are, we already know. We already know there's going to be a deeper relationship with these guys, but they've actually reiterated on that, and they've reconfirmed that, so to speak. So I think that's really cool. Like I said, I'm just excited about that in general. It's just ridiculous. This game is really, really ridiculous. As far as all the stuff that they're adding in, it sounds like they're just taking everything that we wanted from Fallout 3 and they're just sticking it in New Vegas, and then they're just giving us this new world. Also, a lot of people are talking about how is this really a new game? Is this not a new game? I don't know. It doesn't sound like a new game to me. They constantly keep saying it's a new game. It is a new game. It's a sequel. They constantly say that. So, if they've said it like 5 or 6 times on camera, then I'm gonna have to believe them that it is a real game. It's a brand new game. It's not just an expansion. So I'm not questioning that anymore. I actually, for the fact of the matter, honestly, I never questioned it, to be honest. So I never worried about that. But think about it. We got 2 types of soda now. They mess with your dehydration. They mess with your sleep. And, they affect it. There's gambling going on everywhere. You have the skill books and the skill magazines. What are you going to pick? You've got all these factions going on. And the big thing they said about the factions is you don't just have the big factions. You don't just have the 2 main factions. You also have sub-factions that are controlled by the larger factions that you can interact with. And, maybe I'm even thinking you can help them maybe overthrow the oppression that they have. Or maybe you can help them, turn sides or just limitless possibilities as far as what you can do. Replayability is ridiculous in this game. It just looks like it's going to be a whole new level as far as RPG is considered. Closing note real quick. And I guess before we go anywhere else, I will have links in the description. Plenty of links for you guys. There's probably going to be about 5, maybe even 6 links. I haven't even counted them yet. And you guys can go check out all the information I'm talking about and even see the spoilers, because there are spoilers. There's plenty of spoilers, and I don't want people going and unknowingly looking at spoilers. So go at your own risk, but you can go and see. You're more than welcome to see it, and go check out anything that you would like in any of these previews. But on a closing note, though, me personally, I don't know how you guys feel about this. I'm kind of tired of the graphic whores. They're walking around and they're saying, and I'm a graphic whore, so this is funny. A lot of them are complaining that it looks the same as Fallout 3. I don't care if it looks the same as Fallout 3. It's on the same engine, but it's a bigger world, so I don't really care. There's more to do. It's a more intricate game. But I'm running out of time. You guys go ahead, check the links. Read all you want. Like I said, I left out things purposely not to spoil it for some people, but you can definitely read it in the privacy of your own home and find out what you want to find out. Rate, subscribe, whatever, do what you like, leave me a comment, send me a message. If you guys find anything cool, let me know. And you guys just take it easy. This is really exciting, a lot of information.